Kamen Rider Zi-O.
Hey YouTube, Kamen Rider here with my review for Kamen Rider Zi-O episode 9. This is the start of the O's arc. I thought this was a solid episode. I definitely had some problems with some things in particular, but I like that this was another arc that's going to be working differently, mainly because even though it's the O's tribute, and they got multiple people back for it, unless I'm just misrecognizing Hina or something, but Edgy's in it, spoiler alert. But we also have Dan Kuroto, not Shin Dan Kuroto, it's Dan Kuro King from X-Aid. And I thought that was a really cool idea. I want to say that to start. I think it's really cool that at the beginning the Time Jackers are kind of acknowledging like, hey, if we want to create a new king, we should probably have somebody that's motivated to be in charge. That makes sense. Like, that has always bothered me in the back of my head, but a lot of the other problems Zi-O had kind of took precedence. But like the fact that they're wanting to create a new king, but they're just kind of recruiting people with like weird problems that are very of the moment or single-minded. So like this dude in Fize trying to save his girl or his friend or whatever, why would that make him want to be king? And why can't the Time Jackers become king? I just have so many questions. But yeah, so like that made sense, and I kind of like that idea. I think that could be interesting to find like villains of the week or weeks that become these other riders that would have some sort of motivation to become like the next Oma King type deal. I think that would make the of the week stories a little bit more interesting than the classic like, oh, my brother's leg got broken, or someone stole my test, or, you know, I need a Snickers. Like, I think that would be interesting. But so then you have Dan, who is just a crazy mofo. Like, this dude, he's always so weird for me, because there's bits that I've really enjoyed and laughed at, especially in the second half of X-Aid, but he's just, like, too much for me. Like, sometimes I like those over-the-top bits and characters, but he's often too much for me. But he has his place, and I get it, and there were bits I enjoyed here, and it very much made sense playing into his, like, oh, I'm, you know, Shin Dan Kuroto and stuff, and, like, so he wants to be in charge. So I thought that made sense. So it was cool, not only because it made sense for a character that we know, but the fact that we had a character from another Rider series becoming another Rider. That was really neat. I thought that was a cool idea, and it created this kind of confusion where he becomes another O's, but he drops the Genom Ride Watch, so they're like, oh, 2016. That's where, like, the problems start. Like, I like the idea of that confusion. Like, he picks up the Ride Watch, and he's like, oh, okay, 2016, and then Tsuyomi, or whatever her name is, like, mentions like, oh, this kind of looks like X-Aid, this doesn't look right. That's cool. Like, I'm not necessarily mad they didn't full stop realize it right then, but once they started fighting O's in 2016 and he transformed into Genom and the suit looks like Dark X-Aid and the belt's yelling at you, Shaun White hoodies and Genom, I thought it was extremely stupid that they didn't realize it then. He's like, oh, well, this must be O's, let's finish him. Like, you idiot, you're the dumbest boy in school. And I hated that. Like, I liked the confusion bit at first, but only to a point, because A, just aesthetically, even if I didn't know what a Kamen Rider was, a defender of Ventara, if I were to see Genom and O's, I would know that they're not the same. And shouldn't he know what they look like? I feel like inherently they know what the riders look like. Plus, Zi-O has that statue with all the main riders, and O's is right there. So that really, really bothered me. That made me upset. But I liked the idea behind it, and I think it worked up to a point. And I think, like, I feel like it was intentional, but like the 2010 on another O's back looked cracked on the 0 at the end, so it kind of looked like it could be a 6. I think that was kind of cool. But yeah, really cool ideas. I just hated that part of the execution. And then meanwhile, how did they do it in Twin Peaks? They did Sogo wanting to learn a bit from Dan because he wants to be a king too. I really don't like Sogo. His whole wanting to be a king protagonist is really annoying and unrelatable. Stop talking about the farm Dwight. It's not relatable. Like, it's like that. I just don't like him. And so I feel like it was clear at the end he's purposefully trying to infiltrate Dan's thing and make, not like that, like Dan's organization or whatever, and this is making it sound like a mob movie, but infiltrate him. God, this keeps sounding gross. But, you know, infiltrate and then like set up gates to make it seem authentic. It still seemed a little forced, like, take this one line and be like, oh, I just want to learn from Dan. He's like, you betrayer! And then he just attacks him. Like, it was over the top. It seemed kind of dumb, because he's made it clear he wants to be king this whole time. So, I don't know. That seemed dumb from Gates' perspective, but I feel like, unless I'm totally off base here, that it was super obvious that he's setting it up like he's trying to infiltrate and get in Dan's good graces. But I also think there's a part of him that's like serious, like he wants to learn king tactics, whatever that means. But yeah, so like that was okay. Like that'll probably pay off more next week. But I like that the way they handled Edgy, where I think they showed him like once or twice from the back of the head, unless I'm imagining that, in the episode, and it kind of made it seem like, oh, you're in for another one of those episodes where they didn't get Gentaro or they didn't get Haruto. But then at the end, he's like, oh no, I'm Hino Edgy. And so that was a weird way of saying it, but I liked that because if you don't follow any of the stuff or know anything, I feel like audience members, either kids or people watching in Japan or even Toku fans that don't follow the news, would be like, oh, they must have not got Edgy's actor back, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, we got him. I thought that was kind of cool. I feel like that was a bit purposeful, like they were kind of self-aware, which I thought was neat. Also, I really like the O's, or the another O suit design. I just don't like the wings on the head. Like, I get it, not like the face, but the back. Mainly because when he's fighting, it's like ridiculous. Like, he'll be fighting and it'll be like this over his face, and like, I think it was just too much. I think either I would trim them or clip them off just so it doesn't look so weird. But yeah, I thought this was a solid episode. I did enjoy parts. I liked the merged aspect of it again. It was a different way, less formulaic of approaching it. I'm just still not a fan of like the stupidity of them not realizing Genom isn't O's, because I feel like there's like 5 different levels on which they should have realized that. But setting that aside, it was adorable. It was adorable. No, it was enjoyable. I'd probably give it a 7. And like, I like that it was hybridized, even though they got like good O's people back. So they could have done like a standard episode for this, but they decided to do like a little bit of a mixed one with Dan's actor. Like, I could see them doing this kind of like with Forza if they couldn't get anybody from O's that was a writer back and then hybriding it, but the fact that they did it with getting actors back, I thought was kind of neat and unexpected. Especially since we're coming back off of a Wizard episode where like we only got Beast, but you know what I mean. Anyway, that's about it for this one. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and of course, don't forget to climb the steps and ring that bell to get the notifications from my videos. Until next time, Dawson Rider, signing out.